Right, Aaron Shepherd. Take this off. Look at that. Right, I'm going to bang some stuff on the screen. I've certainly got people watching on Twitter. Hold on. Where's my chance to win? Here we go. Chance to win £20 Uber Eats vouchers. Welcome. Anyway, how are you? 13 people on YouTube. It turns out people are far more likely to watch us if we're giving shit away than if we're talking about business. What a surprise. 20 people watching YouTube already.
So they don't want the insights. They just want...
No, they just want money and food.
That's all right. We can give that away too.
Exactly. Anyway, how are you? Let's wait around until we start giving money.
I'm very good. I'm pretty sore, if I'm honest.
Yeah, I played golf yesterday. That's really tough going. That
first time that I've this is going to sound terrible, but I had knee surgery a few years ago, and I never really recovered. So I haven't carried my clubs for a while, just because of my knee. I'm always trying to protect it. I carried for the first time yesterday, and my God, I feel like I'm at 85. But it was absolutely beautiful to get out there. And yeah, what is disappointing is it's the second day now that I've been to every Starbucks within sort of 20 miles of me, and everything's still shut. So there's nothing open in Surrey, so I think I have to go to Berkshire if I want it.
That seems a bit too drastic even for you. Although I have seen you get up in the morning and drive 25 minutes to go and get a Starbucks coffee, which seems completely pointless. But some of them I can get behind. I'm trying to equip our friends in the chat who want to win money with links to the podcast. So yeah, if you've seen the stuff down below, you can see that you can win a £20 Uber Eats voucher. We're going to pay for your Friday night takeaway this evening. But in order to do that, we're going to be picking 10 random winners. But it's going to take the best photo, screenshot, whatever you want to do. Be creative in order to win that £20 Uber Eats voucher. But what you'll need to do is take a photo or screenshot you listening to the new podcast that we launched today. If you type in The Marketing Agency into podcast app or Spotify, then you will get there. And then take a screenshot of you watching it, listening to it. It could be you with a selfie. It could be you just screenshotting the app and then post it to your Instagram stories and tag us, or post it to Twitter and tag us with the GOAT Agency, which is here. And we will be giving out £20 Uber Eats vouchers to 10 of the best tagged ones. So that's something that we're going to get on with in the background. We had a question here from Scott Baxter straight in. Did you enjoy golf yesterday? Yeah, I did.
Oh, yeah, I loved it. I lost to Matt Chasey for the first time in my life, which was quite disappointing. But it was very, walking out onto the first tee was an absolute delight. Felt very, very fortunate to be out there. So glad that it's completely social distance. To be clear, I didn't the clubhouse is shut, everything's shut, so you're literally just turning up and going on and playing.
I felt more socially distanced playing golf than I have having a conversation with anyone else at any point over the last 8 weeks. Because when you're talking to each other, you're about 6 to 7 meters apart because you're walking down the fairway, your balls are in different places. Like, it feels like the most socially distancing sport out there, or activity in general.
Yeah. Sorry, I don't know if you can hear my dogs are barking, but right.
And it's an absolute minefield out there. I'm gonna give you.
I'm gonna try and make it a little bit quieter here. You talk.
So yeah, if you're watching right now, you can go to The Marketing Agency on your podcast app. Hold on, I'm gonna do it for you right here. I'm gonna show you how to do it. I'm gonna scroll across. We're gonna go to the podcast app here. We're gonna go to search. I've already searched it. Look at that. The Marketing Agency. Simple as that. Very easy to spell. Search. Hopefully it comes up, or it can be a complete disaster. No, here it is. Top here. Marketing Agency. Click on that. And then there's 9 episodes ready. Launched today. 5 stars. Subscribe there. Take a screenshot all in Series 1, which I've fixed, which is great. I've had some real technical issues with Apple over the last 24 hours. But you can go on here, see the episodes. You can start listening to the fantastic Work-Life Balance podcast, turn the audio up. People's issues amongst sharing flats with people. Fantastic voice, fantastic podcasting voice. And then get a screenshot of this and then send that onto your Instagram stories or on Twitter, or be more creative and think about a better way that you can get that £20 Uber Eats voucher from us to you in order for us to pay for your Friday night takeaway this evening. So I'm going to go, but Aaron Shepherd's back from the kids.
I am back.
So there's your walkthrough, people that are watching. There's probably a cumulative 150 people watching right now. So there's absolutely no excuse for those people not to be trying to win £20. We're going to pay for your takeaway tonight. Come on. What would you go for then tonight, Aaron Shepherd? You got £20 to spend your Uber Eats. You can't get Uber Eats.
I can't get it. There's no Uber Eats, no Deliveroo here. So I'll be honest, just to have access to that would be brilliant. What would I go for? What am I missing?
Pizza?
Yeah, no.
Quite easy to get hold of a pizza.
I certainly love I don't know Pizza Express room. I'd love a Pizza Express. What I know is open, and I certainly would like, is a KFC.
Yes, I had that the other day, and I'll tell you what, it was fantastic.
But the thing I miss the most is the little pasta stall next to our office, which is absolutely brilliant. So yeah, I haven't got many options here.
Right, I'm going to have logged into the Go Agency Instagram account. Hold on, I think we've got some. It's quite difficult for me to show these on the screen, but thank you very much. If you have already downloaded the podcast, thank you very much. We're trying to get to number 1 on the business podcast charts today. That's the goal. Launch number 1. We're last time I checked, we're at 60. So we're climbing. We're climbing. It's only 12:40. We've got 12 hours left. I'm confident we can get there. But yeah, please tweet or Instagram story. Finn Jones, here we go. He's listening to Aaron Shepherd's dulcet tones. I've been listening to the Go Agency podcast. Have you? Why not? Go listen now. He's listening to the Richard Ayres podcast.
The great podcast.
Hold on. Here we go. There. Finn Jones, thank you very much. Thank you very much. We'll throw you into the hat.
So I think I've actually filmed 3. I think 2 have been released so far, with Richard Ayres and James Kirkham, both people that I've admired for the last sort of 8 or 9 years, really. Both, big agency people, have a real understanding of the culture that we're in. So yeah, there's a lot of insight on both those. They're both brilliant. I listened to the In the Bag one this morning.
Secure the Bag with Frankie Hobbs and Emily Hall.
Yeah, I thought that was really, really good. It's great to hear a perspective from an influencer and someone who I think, if you listen to that, you can see that she's a lovely, lovely person. She's very aware of what she's doing. She's very aware of the power she's got. She's very aware of only choosing products that she really stands behind. And, I think maybe a lot of people sort of throw shit at the ex-Love Island community. And I think a lot of them don't do good stuff. But she's someone that actually is doing really good stuff and cares about her audience, cares about the community. And that really, really came through for me on that. So I definitely recommend that one as well.
Yeah, no, that was good. I've listened to a few. I've listened to a few being recorded as well. I certainly believe that the Work-Life Balance podcast episode 2 is a lot better than episode 1 as we got into the flow of it. But yeah, the Secure the Bag, I mean, they've done 4 or 5 they've recorded now. And the guests seem to be escalating. Last week they interviewed someone who has over 10 million record sales in the UK and has the same amount of UK number 1s as David Bowie. That's the sort of level we're talking about on the Go Agency's new podcast, The Marketing Agency, which you can download now on all good podcasting apps. And you can also win £20 by doing just that. Right, we've got some more. Lewis says, all things Go Agency. He's got the YouTube up, he's got the Spotify up, and he's got the podcast up. I like that. That's creative. What have we got that? Sharp talent management. Thoroughly enjoying the perspective from the influencers angle. Nice work, the Goat Agency. Here we go. More of these coming in. We'll start giving out some money in a minute. Thank you very much for listening. Thank you very much for downloading.
So I think it's really good. I think that's a really good point around the perspective from the influencers. I think, for those that haven't seen what we're doing yet, there's 5 different podcasts and they're really different, right? It's not 5 podcasts where we're talking about the same sort of thing. They're so the whole setup is different. The guests are very different. We're trying to get a different thing out of it. So yeah, it really is something for everyone, I think. Whether you're trying to be an influencer or you're a marketeer or you're in an agency or you're at a brand, or you're just interested in because you're a fan of YouTube, for example, there's so much good stuff in different places there.
Yeah, I suppose what we're trying to do is create, and we've kind of coined this term, new age radio, which is a bit more on demand, and a way of creating a brand channel that has lots of different types of content where you might only like 1 or 2 of the podcasts, but you have the opportunity to dip in and out of lots of different ones. And it kind of aids podcast discovery, which we believe is very, very, very difficult. It's actually quite hard to find good new podcasts. So what we've done is we've combined all 5 into one thing. So you might not like episode 1 of 3 of the podcast, but during the next few weeks, when we release more and more, there might be one episode of Secure the Bag, which has a guest where you're like, oh, I'd actually really like to listen to them. I wasn't interested in Gabby Allen, but I am interested in X. And, that helps. Maybe you came in through Secure the Bag as a Gabby Allen fan this week, and now actually you're really interested in Aaron's podcast with Richard Ayres. I mean, it would be an eclectic interest pool, but but that's kind of the point. So we're kind of giving the option. And if you're a fan of what we create and also a fan of YouTube and content and creators in general, or marketing in general, there are 5 good podcasts there that could be listened to. So I think it'll be really, really interesting. There is a bit of an internal competition as to which podcast gets listened to the most. Obviously, Secure the Bag is getting the biggest names, but does that mean it's going to pull the biggest numbers? Who knows? But we will see.
Richard Ayres and James Kirkham, huge names. I don't know what you're
big names in the industry. Big names in the industry. Right. So, what else has been going on, Aaron Shepherd? I feel like it's been a couple of weeks since we did this, because last week it was a bank holiday. So, yeah. What's going on? Hold on, I've got a question here. Whilst we throw it up, whilst we get other people to be sending in their images. How do you handle brands trying to micromanage influencer content? It's a great question, and something that's become easier and easier with time and a bit of education. But Aaron Shepherd, how do you deal with that?
I mean, it is difficult. I think that, it's a real problem. What I always try and we're always trying to push people to is, if you're not within the community, you should not be micromanaging the content, regardless of if you're the client or the agency or anybody. So if it's something that's targeted at an 18-year-old gamer, and there's a 40-year-old who doesn't game making that decision, right? It's not going to be the right decision. So I think it's really trying to get people to understand that the best results from influencers come from niche content to niche audiences. So it's not about putting a general bit of content in that everybody likes. It's about putting content in that audience will love. And if you're not part of that community, you might not like it. So it's just about educating clients. Once they see the results when they don't micromanage, that's what ultimately gets them to have faith in us, and then allow us to sort of have that freedom. We'll give clients a little bit more input at the beginning, just to get them comfortable, but it's just not. If a client is signing off every influencer, every bit of content, like, what are we there for? You know what I mean? That's literally our job. So if they're just building a team to do the same thing, they're just duplicating costs. And we're the experts at it, not their internal marketing team. So again, they should just lean on the agency to do it. Because we're neutral, we'd never suggest someone that wasn't the right fit. We've got no reason to. I think that gives us a big advantage, is we're never suggesting someone for our benefit. We're always suggesting it for the brands.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think over the last few years, it's gone from being very, very, very difficult to actually becoming a slightly bit easier to get brands to trust us, mainly because of our credibility in the market, but also because influence in general has become something that people understand is a bit more nuanced than it was maybe a few years ago. Right. What else we've got in the questions? Would love an Uber Eats voucher, but I'm currently in a remote German village, so no deliveries. Jack Catford, I can find a solution for that if you post something fantastic. I can find something else. Trust me. Here's a question for you, Aaron Shepherd. Hi, lads. Do you think the turmoil created by coronavirus in the creative industries will present an opportunity for new digital agencies to break into the market?
100%. 100%. Disruption creates opportunity. It's simple as that. You've probably got 20 or 30% of businesses at least that are going to go out of business here. And that's going to be very painful in the short term. But the opportunity is a new set of businesses, a new set of 20, 30% will replace that. So it doesn't mean creative agencies can't take advantage of that opportunity too. I think digital agencies are better placed here than anybody else, because what is going to happen is a mass push towards digitalization right now. So if you are digitally focused, you have an advantage over people that are not, for sure. But yeah, I think there's a huge amount of opportunity all around here. We're going to see new products, new services, new ways of consumers interacting, of new ways of them buying. People that innovate are going to move ahead of the market. If you're digital, you've got an advantage, but there could be a very traditional business that goes and takes advantage of this too, because they just pivot quicker. So yeah, I feel like there's a huge amount of opportunity. There's definitely a huge amount of opportunity for us, obviously, because of the type of business that we have, but it's not just limited to us. So yeah, take advantage. Anything digital is going to be a positive. Anything social is going to be a positive. The more analog it is, you've got to cut it away. If you're sat on a huge amount of commercial real estate, you've got to get rid of it. Like there are things that you've just got to do. And the difference between breaking all of your leases right now or breaking them in 3 months' time, probably the difference between surviving or not from a business point of view. So, those that act right now and make the right decision have a big advantage.
Agreed. Right, I'm going to take a commercial break after that fantastic answer, because I've got a question here. What are the requirements to win 20 quid? Well, we're going to pay for your Friday night takeaway if you follow and create fantastic screenshots or images that you can either tweet to us or put on your Instagram stories. Now, this is how you do it. You go to the podcast app or Spotify. I don't mind. Podcast app is just as good. Search the marketing agency in the search. Click the marketing agency. Press subscribe whilst you're there. Rate it 5 stars. But then also listen to one like this. Listen to the 30,000 foot view by Richard Ayres and with Richard Ayres and Aaron Shepherd. Here he is. Look.
As soon as you start thinking about, as you say, mental health and then the
Aaron Shepherd, it sounds like it's been recorded in a studio despite us being at home. How on earth have we done that? Well, I tell you, we're fantastic. So so go and download, get a screenshot. Yeah, get a screenshot of you listening to it, or just a fantastic creative image. Tweet it to us at the Goat Agency or at the Goat Agency on Instagram stories, and the best, most creative people. We're giving out a maximum of 10 Uber Eats vouchers for tonight in order for you to have your Friday night takeaway paid for. If you want more than £20 for a Friday night takeaway, I can only describe you as someone that's very greedy. Even I struggle to get more than £20 worth of takeaway for myself. So,
around me that has its minimum delivery is £50.
Well, surely they lifted it for this.
For a minimum delivery, like it's just impossible to order.
Yeah, it is. That is impossible to order. I mean, you have to order for the whole family. You have to order a buffet.
Yeah, all the dishes are like £8, so it's like you've got to order for like 8 people. Otherwise, they just won't do it.
Interesting. Right. Okay. I feel like the best entry so far is Lewis Wicks. Could be Wixie. That's his at Wixie on Twitter. I think this is the best so far, where he's showing all of the different. Hold on, here we go. All the different Goat Agency content together in a screenshot. We've got the vlog over here. We've got the podcast on Spotify, and then we've got the podcast on podcast app. So the first £20 is going to go to you. I'm going to be DMing you after the live. So well done. £20 being handed out left, right, and center. So please get your content in to us on Twitter or on Instagram stories, and we will be giving out more takeaways for tonight. Mr. Wixie on Twitter with the first load of that. Right. How do you find out how conservative a brand is, and how does that affect influencers' choice for them? Good question.
How do you find out how conservative a brand is? And how
I'll summarize it for you, Aaron, in a way that you understand. The classic, we don't want to be Paddy Power, but we really like Paddy Power. That's the question.
I tell them they can't be Paddy Power. It's very simple. You're right. I get that all the time from bookies. We love what Paddy Power do, but we're not sure we can cross that line. Oh, well, you can't be Paddy Power then, because they are Paddy Power because they're willing to cross the line. And so I tell that straight away to brands. I don't go, yeah, great, we can make you like Paddy Power. I just say, well, you can't be. That's ridiculous. You're either willing to cross the line or you're not. If you are, of course, you can be Paddy Power. Conservative brands, I think there's no such thing as a conservative brand in many ways. It's about the people that are within them. A brand's a brand, right? Someone said it to me the other day and said, oh, what do you do with serious brands? How do you take on a serious brand? And I said, what is a serious brand? Like, what is that serious? You know what I mean? Is it a bank? I don't know. I think a bank can be lighthearted and entertaining. I don't think it's about maybe a funeral director, right? Maybe that's the business that's really serious. But, I said, even if you're going in to have surgery, just, you want your anesthesiologist or your surgeon to, you don't want them to be clowns, but you want them to have a bit of humor, because we're all humans, and in high stress scenarios, actually a bit of humor helps. So I'd argue there's no such thing as a serious brand. There are marketeers who think that their brand is more important than it actually is, and think that what they have decided their brand is what their brand is. And of course it isn't. A brand is what consumers have decided it is. It's irrelevant what the marketing team in that company thinks. So I always try and push them to that, right? Is you might think you're serious, but the rest of us don't. So why don't we just, try and entertain people, try and show people that you can add value to their lives, try and show people that, that you're humans too, right? The people sat there at banks are humans. They just forget it sometimes. So yeah, I would, if anyone's saying, oh, we're too serious for social, no, you're not. You're not. You misunderstand what social is.
I agree. I think there's so many serious brands doing such a great job on social, just because they're thinking about it outside the box, they're innovating, they're doing things that are different, and things that sometimes, because they're seen as a serious brand from the traditional consumer, they're actually able to break through the noise a bit better when they do something outside the ordinary. Just to break that, we've definitely got another £20 to give out to Quinn Double N on Instagram. Here, he's watching us live on his TV, which I feel for the rest of the people living with him. And he's also listening to Strat Chat here on the left. It's TikTok time, episode 1 on the podcast app. So thank you very much. I'm going to bang that on the Go Agency Instagram stories, and I will DM you after this live stream to make sure that you get your voucher too. Voucher coming your way. Lovely stuff. Right. Any other questions? Any other questions for us, people in the comments? I mean, has LinkedIn got any questions for us? I wish this platform pulled in LinkedIn comments.
Yeah.
I will DM you
after. It would make life a lot easier. Fashion lifestyle brands are asked to reduce their uncontrolled products flowing. How can marketing creative agencies promote this process? How much smaller will the office be? From Aaron Needham. He's obviously watched a few others.
I don't know how much smaller it will be. It will be very different, is what I would say. We don't foresee banks of desks in the way that we have traditionally. If you've been into our office in or any of them, but particularly in London, there's just banks and banks and banks of desks. We've got a lot of people in there, and then there are meeting areas and stuff like that. So we'll definitely need the meeting areas, the ability for people to get together in central spaces. Will we need 120 desks sat there? Probably not. Maybe we need 40 or 50, and it's more of a flexible working environment. We have talked about having multiple London offices, for example. Harry lives in Stratford in East London. Nick, when he moves back from the US at some point, will, I imagine, go back to North London, because that's where he's sort of from. And I'm in Surrey in Southwest London. So, it's an hour and 15 minutes for me to get into central London. If we had a Southwest London office that was maybe 30, 40 people, and anyone that was in Southwest London went there, we had a North East London office, for example. But there'll be, again, it would still be a more flexible working environment. But the way we are, I could see a scenario where we take a bigger office, because really it will become about what's the coolest meeting space. Like, where is the place you want to go? If you're only going out, if everybody's working from home 3 days a week, those days when they're going in, it becomes more important that it's the right environment. So, I could see us having some pretty incredible meeting spaces and some pretty iconic spots. So, there is a scenario where we could end up with the same space, but we just use it very, very differently. We definitely won't have as many desks in there. We definitely won't have people in the office 5 days a week. So it will change, but I guess we'll just see what happens with rents and stuff. I can see commercial property rents going through the floor, right? Absolutely through the floor. So we might find it's just so cheap that we end up with a big office. We'll wait and see what happens.
Yeah, agreed. And that was a great question. I forgot about it already. Have you carried out any B2B campaigns on LinkedIn, and how have they gone? Seems a tricky platform to find the most suitable influencers.
Lots. We're doing a lot right now, but I can't talk about them.
Yeah, I mean, in LinkedIn, it's kind of become an interesting platform for brands in the last 6 months. I'd say maybe the last 18 months, it's been a place where people have wanted to spend time, and then brands are normally a year in delay. So we have some, especially in the fintech space, a lot of brands that are looking to activate on LinkedIn. Obviously, that's where they see quite a lot of their consumers. And I think there's a kind of maybe a misunderstanding or an unknown element to LinkedIn about what you can actually do and what you can't do. And there's some really, really nice features that are available to advertisers that aren't available to advertise on other platforms. The targeting on LinkedIn is fantastic. And the ability to loop around and retarget using direct messages is different to any other platform. And something that we're seeing that's really, really successful is creating an ad like a article, which is very interesting, targeting that to a certain group, a certain specific niche target group, and then understanding who goes onto that landing page and reads it, and then retargeting those people with a direct mail with some sort of call to action to open something else. And that open rate has been, in the region of 60 to 80% of that direct mail afterwards. So that's quite exciting, really, because with LinkedIn, you can literally go after the CEO of Coca-Cola if you want to. And if you're a company that are looking to get products into hotels, you need to go through hotel procurement officers. Then you can just target hotel procurement officers in the UK and target your product or your service towards those specific people in those specific job roles. So I think people are slightly misunderstood with LinkedIn. I don't think it's necessarily an influencer play or an influencer only play right now. I think there's ways that you can integrate influencers and branded content and paid together. But it's certainly an undervalued proposition right now for brands, and one that we're seeing great results in, especially in the sort of classic B2B space, but also some B2C brands who have got a staple of more sophisticated social media users on LinkedIn. Right, what else is going on? Anybody else giving any podcasts? If you haven't, if you've just joined, you can win £20 Uber Eats vouchers for tonight's Friday takeaway, just by showing up. You're listening to the podcast that we launched today. All the links are in the comments, and you can find it on the podcast app or Spotify by typing in The Marketing Agency into the search, and then just screenshot you listening to it, and we will fire out a £20 Uber Eats voucher for tonight's takeaway. Aaron Shepherd,
go and give us 5 stars as well, please.
Yeah, that would be much appreciated. Much appreciated. I'm not sure why 20 people are watching this and not doing that on YouTube. It seems like a crazy thing to do. This is a free £20 just for going on and listening to a podcast. This is my rampage towards getting to number 1 on the business podcast charts today. So, Aaron Shepherd, I mean, I'll be honest, I've done very little preparation for this live. I've done half an hour already, and I'm yeah.
Don't hand over.
That goes for all of the lives ever.
Yes.
What else is going on in the world? Oh, I think we've just had a story mention. Got one from Joe Binder. Tom Freeman's anniversary. Goat anniversary today. He got his spray bands. Let's talk about Ray-Bans as a thing, not as a brand, but more as a loyalty prize that we put up. It's something that we took from the Sport Lobster days that we still give out. Someone's 1 year anniversary at Goat, we give them a pair of branded Goat Ray-Bans. I'm going to try and find Tom's. He did send me a photo of them. Hold on. Here he is. So the only stipulation of the Goat Ray-Bans is that they have to have an orange lens. You can pick any Ray-Ban you want, any style, but they have to have an orange lens. And the value of it is, and I'm going to leave you to talk about why you came up with it at Sport Lobster, whilst I go and get my Sport Lobster ones. Take the floor.
I stole it from the first group actually in Dubai, where we had pins that go on. Everyone wore suits, or that sort of gear. And so it was pins and different sort of metal ones. You'd have a silver one or a bronze one, a silver one, a gold one, then a little diamond in it. So I was saying it actually comes from the first group, and they have little pins that go on suits, different color metals, and it's tiny, right? And it's why I like it is you only know about it if you're within that community. Anybody else seeing, oh, that person's got a silver one on, that person's got a gold one on, it means absolutely nothing. It's so small you wouldn't even notice it. But the people that work there, they know, right? So all of a sudden someone's got a diamond one and they know they've been there for 7 years, and that was a company in a similar way to Goat that grew incredibly quickly and went up to 1,000 people in the years that I were there. So, if people had been there from that first 20 or 40, like they were superstars in the business because of it. So that recognition of time, even if it's only an internal thing, I just think it's really, really powerful.
Agreed. Well, the reason we kept it on is because these are my Sport Lobster ones, which I got after my first year at Sport Lobster, which have Sport Lobster written there, and then HH written there. And I never wear them, ever, but I always remember them, and always they're like my memento that I've got. And Frankie's got his downstairs. I know Nick's got his.
I've never even got one. I never got one at Sport Lobster, and I still haven't got one at Goat.
Oh, I've had hundreds at Goat.
Oh.
But yeah, the reason we changed the style from the Sport Lobster ones to the Goat ones is because Nick, Frankie, and I hated the fact that we were forced to have this like purpley blue frame, which was the Sport Lobster colours, or the nearest thing to the Sport Lobster colours. So we decided that we change it so you could have any frame, but you had to have orange lens. And we think it works, and it's a nice memento. People remember it. And Tom came to me 2 weeks ago and said, I hate you for forcing me to have an orange lens. I think it's going to look rubbish. And he got them today and said, I was wrong. They look fantastic. Yeah. So it's a little thing. It makes a difference. People remember them, and they're one of those things that lots of people don't buy for themselves, which is quite nice. And Tom Freeman's just gone in the chat laughing because he knows he's been stitched up. Okay, Dominic Bortas, probably the last question before we head off, and last chance for people to win £20 Uber Eats voucher for you to get your takeaway tonight paid for. Dominic Bortas says, what is your approach to ensuring productivity yet satisfaction in your company? How do you measure it? Good question.
In lots of ways. We're very, very KPI driven internally and obviously for our clients. So, there'll be internal sales requirements that we need to do to continue our growth. There'll be a huge amount of KPIs around the work that we're delivering and the success of the campaign team based against that. There's a lot of KPIs around client happiness. So there's a lot of practical KPIs. We do a lot of work on individual staff performance and progression. We have quarterly reviews. We have a brilliant ops team that is really helping our people become the best that they possibly can be, with extra training, with all sorts of different things. And then fundamentally, we listen and we care, right? We're three humans who have grown this business by a handful of other humans at the beginning, trusting us and giving their all. And we value that tremendously, so someone comes and says, I've got a problem with something, we will always, always listen. That doesn't mean that we will act necessarily in the way that they want us to, because we might have more, we might have wider context, for example, but we'll never dismiss them. It's always open. We do a live Q&A with the entire company. We do it straight after this. We do it at 1:30 every Friday, where it's a completely open forum and anyone can ask literally anything they want. And we would never, ever try and, oh, no, we won't answer that now. We'll speak to you privately. Like, it would be completely open. And that's our attitude. We treat people how we want to be treated. And that's just a fundamental thing, certainly for me, and I know for Harry and Nick as well. So there's no magic answer. The KPIs around performance are really hard. If you've worked at Goat for 2 years, you are exceptional. You're not an average marketeer. You are brilliant. If you've worked at Goat for 3 months and been let go, you're probably an average marketeer, right? It doesn't mean you're bad. So our standards are incredibly high, but then because we believe we have a very high performing team, we also have to care and look after them and everything else. So, a big part of what Sam, Matt, Shakira, the ops team are doing now is that daily communication with everyone. There are daily check-ins, sometimes to check, okay, let me look at your performance of the last week. Let me say you did here. Sometimes just to ask how you're doing. What are you doing to, in your free time? How are you relaxing? We're encouraging, people to make sure that they take the time off still, because everyone can be, you can just end up working 18-hour days. So, we're in this for the long run. We're trying to change the marketing industry for the next, over the next 5 or 10 years. And the only way we'll do that is if, like, the majority of our best people stay with us on that journey, and they won't if we burn them out. So just really important to have a balance, really high performance, but then really high caring as well.
Yeah, 100%. I think, this lockdown has proved that model is very, very effective for us. People have become very good at working on their own. They've become very autonomous. And I suppose that's been, our thinking for the last few years about trying to force people to make decisions themselves and do things themselves in order to make the most of their own time here and learn the most. Because I think lots of places either micromanage and babysit or do nothing. And we want to be the support on the we're like the backstop. If all goes wrong, we'll be there to help you out, but we want you to kind of find your way through it and learn and use the people around you to make things happen. And that's kind of how we move forward as well. If we continue to do things in the same way all the time, because we think that's the right thing to do, then we won't move forward. We'll continue in the same way. So we need new people to come up with new ways of doing things in order for us to keep moving forward.
And it's a mutual above and beyond thing, right? There are once you've gone above and beyond, and there are so many of if not all of them, but the vast majority. The only reason they wouldn't is maybe they haven't been here long enough to do that. But once that's been proven to us, like, we would always go above what is normal. We have rules in the business, HR rules, all these sorts of things. And, if someone's ill, you might get a certain amount of this, that, and the other. But the reality is, if you've proven that you're one of ours and you have a real problem, like, we will help you as if you're family for us. And a lot of our best staff joined us when they were, in their early 20s, and now in their mid 20s have really turned into absolute superstars. And whatever those people needed, we would provide it for them. And likewise, if I called them at 10 o'clock and was like, I need you, and I need you to work overnight until 8 a.m. tomorrow morning, they'd do it. And if they called me on a Saturday night and said, I'm stuck here, I need help, will you come pick me up? I'd be there immediately. Like that's what we're trying to get a culture of.
Yeah, 100%. And yeah, I mean, we genuinely care for us, for everyone who works for us and who've done a great job for us. I think that kind of shows. Okay, I think that'll do for the afternoon. We've given away a couple of Uber Eats vouchers. Plenty of other people have sent in, but those are two definitely standouts in terms of creativity. If you haven't already subscribed and started listening to the podcast that we launched today, please do so. It's The Marketing Agency on the podcast app on Spotify. You can find it either in the links on these streams or via searching it on the apps as well. Please, as soon as you get off this stream, please go and do that. It means the world. We are charging towards the #1 spot on the business podcast charts today. That is the goal. Midnight is the goal, #1 spot. We're currently, or when I last checked, we were 60 and moving forward. So let's see where we can get to by midnight. But yeah, thank you very much for watching, and we will be here next week. Let's sign it off.